Water is the most important resource in the world. You can live for up to 8 weeks without food, but only a few days without water. Water is life. But it's not renewable. Water is a finite resource moving around the world and through the atmosphere in what we call the hydrologic cycle. Moisture evaporates from the ocean and the land and falls back to the earth as rain. Then it sinks into the soil and becomes groundwater, or it gathers in streams, rivers, and lakes as surface water. Through runoff, water eventually makes its way back to the ocean. This program is about watersheds, places where rain collects when it first hits the ground. While it highlights the Guadalupe Blanco watershed in Texas, many of the principles taught in this classroom demonstrations apply in all, or at least most of the great watersheds of the United States: the Mississippi, Missouri, Ohio, the Columbia and Snake Rivers, the Colorado, the Rio Grande, and the Tennessee. Wherever you are, you're in a watershed, or a catchment as we call it. Watershed is a broad term to describe the drainage basin of a major river. Watersheds consist of tributaries, lakes, springs, reservoirs, and recharge zones. It's through these bodies that water is collected, used by people in the environment, and finally returned to the sea. Watersheds include headwaters, located inland, and tidewaters, located in coastal areas. The land-based part of the hydrologic cycle begins in the headwaters, where rivers and streams originate. Municipalities, farmers and ranchers, industries, and regular people use inland waters in many ways. Birds, fish, and other aquatic life use the headwaters too for nourishment and as places to live. We all live upstream from somebody else, and those who live downstream from us are affected by everything we do with our waters. That's why we must carefully manage our watersheds for the benefit of all.
So if you, say, live in a house, that could be gardening wisely, using species that are native to that area, that are drought tolerant, that don't require tremendous nutrient or fertilizer inputs. If you operate a septic system, that could be maintaining that correctly, getting it pumped on a regular basis, probably every year, every other year, realizing that you do have a complex system.
How we use or misuse headwaters directly affects the quantity and quality of water that reaches the coast. That's why it's essential that we don't pollute or overuse water from the headlands of our river basins. Coastal regions include estuaries. These are transition zones between rivers and the ocean. Estuaries are influenced by tides, waves, salt water, and other ocean elements. Freshwater elements, such as sediment, build marshes and wetlands. The mix of salty seawater and clear freshwater from rivers create a unique, nutritious blend. That's why estuaries are some of the most diverse, productive habitats in the world, teeming with fish, oysters, shrimp, and millions of other creatures. Healthy estuaries are also essential to our coastal economy, especially for commercial and recreational fishing and tourism. Estuaries are home to more than 75% of America's commercial fish catch and 80 to 90% of the recreational fish catch. These fisheries are estimated to be worth billions of dollars. Tidewaters are full of life, but they can't survive without a steady supply of clean fresh water from the headlands of the watershed.
But that steady supply may not last forever. The population of Texas is expected to increase by 72% between 2000 and 2040, from about 21 million to 36 million. To meet our needs, we've already allowed people to draw too much water from the Guadalupe and other rivers. That means that the effect of natural droughts will last longer for our rivers and estuaries, and that we create artificial droughts as well. All this will put unnatural stress on our aquatic environments. The Edwards Aquifer is a major source of water here at the headwaters of the Guadalupe Blanco watershed. Here at San Marcos, over 200 springs burst forth from the aquifer to feed the San Marcos River, which flows into the Guadalupe. This place is home to more than 8 endangered or threatened species, and many archaeologists believe it is the oldest continuously inhabited site in North America. It's a national treasure. The San Marcos River is a good example of how inland headwaters affect coastal tidewaters. Fed by its many source springs, the San Marcos flows 4 miles until it joins the Blanco River. The Blanco then flows for 75 miles before converging with the Guadalupe River. Dozens of miles on, the Guadalupe empties into San Antonio Bay, which merges into the Gulf of Mexico. Because water flows from the land toward the sea, the important lesson is that how wisely we use and manage our headwaters affects the health of the tidewaters. Put another way, how well we take care of headwaters in the hills above San Antonio, New Braunfels, and San Marcos determine the future not only of these cities, but also that of the extraordinary web of life along the coast.
The tidewaters along the Gulf of Mexico and elsewhere along the coastal areas of the United States are precious and beautiful natural resources that we must manage wisely and preserve for future generations. Our wetlands and our estuaries are the home to birds and fish. They're a complex ecosystem that's a true national treasure. Thankfully, landowners in the headwaters of Texas river basins have been good stewards.
Years ago, we started doing brush control. Primarily the cedar or juniper tree removal helps the water flow. Any clearing we do, we feel like we benefit from the growth of the grass. The bottom line is more water to be had.
We also need those in municipalities, agriculture, and industry to think carefully about how they manage runoff into rivers and how they protect the vital recharging of our aquifers. During the last century, millions of acres of estuarine habitat have disappeared. In 1996, 62% of estuaries had good water quality. By 2000, that number was down to 49%. This is a trend that must not continue.
This program was designed to help educators learn and teach about wise watershed management, because today's students are tomorrow's citizens and environmental decision makers.
How is this explaining a watershed to you?
All the water is going to the deepest, the lowest point of the field.
We believe that the more teachers and students understand about the relationships between headwaters and tidewaters, the better able they'll be to keep America's watersheds healthy and vibrant.